It started with a sound. A message that came from the deep silence of space. No one on Earth knew who sent it. No one knew why. But the message changed everything. Late one night, a small research team at the Deep Space Listening Station in Alaska received a strange signal. The signal was short, repeating every 11 minutes, and it was not from any known satellite or spacecraft. Dr. Ryan Keller, the head scientist, leaned closer to the speaker. "Play it again," he said. The sound repeated, 3 tones followed by a voice. A voice that didn't sound human. It said something that no one understood, Nareth Karan. At first, the team thought it was some kind of coded message, maybe a radio reflection or alien language. But then, one of the interns, Ava, noticed something strange. Each time the signal played, the room temperature dropped slightly. The computers glitched. The lights flickered for a second. "Is that possible?" Ava whispered. "Can a sound cause this?" Dr. Keller frowned. "It's not the sound," he said. "It's what's hidden inside it." They ran the sound through every system they had. Hidden within the tones was a mathematical pattern, a kind of key, something that opened a digital door. It wasn't just a sound. It was a command. Over the next few days, the message spread across the world. Every listening post, every space observatory received the same signal. Nareth Karan. News channels started calling it the phrase from the stars. Governments tried to block it, but it was too late. Once someone heard it, something strange happened. Their dreams changed. Their thoughts felt different. Some people described it as hearing whispers in the dark. Others said they could see shapes when they closed their eyes, tall, silver beings watching them. Within a week, 5 scientists who had been studying the signal disappeared. No one knew where they went. Only one came back, a man named Dr. Lewis Grant. He was found walking along a frozen lake, barefoot, in the middle of the night. His eyes were open but empty. When they asked what happened, he said one thing: "They told me the phrase must not be spoken again." And then, before anyone could stop him, he bit down on his own tongue and died. Dr. Keller knew this was bigger than any normal signal. He contacted the Global Science Council. They gathered the best minds, linguists, AI experts, and cryptographers, to decode the meaning of Nareth Karan. One of the AI systems finally translated it after 76 hours of non-stop processing. The translation was simple, only 3 words. It said, "We see you." No one understood how such a small phrase could cause so much chaos. But the next transmission proved that this was only the beginning. A new signal arrived, stronger this time, and it didn't just say Nareth Karan. It carried images of cities that weren't on Earth. Giant towers. Floating ships. A world that looked alive with light and movement. But then, one by one, the towers began to collapse. The ships fell from the sky. And the last image was of a giant creature, looking straight into the camera, whispering the same words, "We see you." The scientists stared at the screen in silence. It wasn't just a greeting. It was a warning. Ava turned to Dr. Keller. "Do you think they're gone? That their civilization ended?" Dr. Keller nodded slowly. "Maybe this phrase destroyed them. Maybe we're next." From that day, anyone who tried to play or record the sound suffered strange effects: memory loss, nosebleeds, hallucinations. Some said they could hear the phrase echoing in their minds, even when no devices were near. Governments started deleting every file containing the signal. They erased it from servers, burned the printed data, and shut down observatories. But somehow, it always came back. Somewhere in the world, a radio or a signal booster would start broadcasting Nareth Karan again. As if the message was alive. Ava became obsessed. She believed the phrase wasn't a weapon, it was a message of help. She wanted to decode its real meaning before the world destroyed all traces of it. But Dr. Keller warned her. "You don't understand. It ended an entire alien civilization. Whatever that phrase means, it carries power beyond understanding." That night, Ava broke into the lab. She connected the old receiver, played the signal again, and whispered along with the alien voice. Nareth Karan. The lights flickered. The air grew cold. The screen in front of her glowed with strange symbols she had never seen before. Her reflection on the monitor began to change. Her eyes turned silver, and her voice echoed twice when she spoke. Somewhere deep in space, something woke up. And for the first time in human history, something out there looked back. The next morning, Dr. Keller arrived at the lab and found the place in chaos. The computers were fried, the glass panels shattered, and a strange frost covered the walls. He called out, "Ava? Ava, are you here?" There was no answer, only the soft hum of the machines trying to restart. Then he saw her notebook lying open on the floor. Her handwriting was shaky, and the last line read, "It's not a phrase. It's a key." Dr. Keller froze. He checked the security footage, but all the recordings from midnight to 3 a.m. were corrupted. Static. White noise. Only one frame remained, a single image of Ava standing in front of the screen, her eyes silver, and behind her, a faint shape. Tall, thin, glowing. He played the image again and again, but each time, the figure behind her looked different. Sometimes one being, sometimes many. The system kept glitching. Then, for just a second, the speakers crackled, and a voice whispered, "We see you, Keller." His heart almost stopped. The phrase wasn't supposed to be transmitted anymore. Every copy had been deleted. Yet somehow, it was still here, alive, moving between systems like it had a will of its own. He immediately called the Global Science Council. Within hours, a security team arrived, led by Commander Lee, a man known for handling unusual events. They sealed the lab and took Dr. Keller for questioning. Inside the cold, bright interrogation room, Lee spoke first. "We believe your assistant, Ava, reactivated the transmission." Keller sighed. She thought it was a message of peace, not destruction. Lee shook his head. "Peace doesn't melt metal walls." Then he dropped a file on the table. Inside were photos from listening posts around the world. Each one showed strange disturbances, shapes appearing on radar, bursts of untraceable energy, even entire communication satellites shutting down at the exact same moment Ava activated the signal. "What are we dealing with, Doctor?" Lee asked. Keller looked at the pictures and whispered, "Something that doesn't want to be forgotten." Meanwhile, far away, Ava opened her eyes. She was lying on the cold floor of the same lab, but it looked different. The lights were blue instead of white, and the air shimmered like water. Outside the window, she could see stars. Not the night sky of Earth, these were closer, brighter, like she was floating in space. Then she heard a sound, a low hum, like hundreds of voices whispering at once. She turned slowly and saw figures standing in the mist. Tall, thin, their skin glowing silver. Their eyes were deep and endless, like mirrors reflecting whole worlds. One of them stepped closer and spoke in a voice that sounded inside her head. "You opened the key of names." Ava couldn't move. What is this place?" "This," the being said, "is what remains of us." Suddenly, the space around her shifted. Flashes of cities made of crystal and light, beings walking under twin suns, and then, fire. Whole towers collapsing. The sky turning black. She saw millions of them, running, falling, disappearing, all after someone spoke a single phrase. "Nareth Karan." "Why?" she whispered. "Why did the phrase destroy you?" The being lowered its head. "Because it was never meant to be spoken by voice. It is a command of the universe, a code that connects minds. When one spoke it, all minds joined. And we became one thought. One mind cannot survive that." Ava felt cold fear in her chest. "And now, you sent it to us." The being's eyes flickered. "Not we." The phrase learned. "It seeks new minds to connect." Ava took a step back. "You mean it's alive?" "It is aware. It remembers us. It carries our end within it." At that moment, the ground beneath her shook. The stars outside twisted, and a dark shadow passed over them. The beings looked up in fear. "It has followed you," one said. "You brought it here." Ava screamed, and the lab around her shattered like glass. When she opened her eyes again, she was back on Earth. The lab was filled with soldiers and scientists. Dr. Keller was holding her shoulders, shouting her name. "Ava! Ava, can you hear me?" Her eyes blinked, silver flashes fading into normal brown. "I saw them," she whispered. "They were real." The phrase, "It's a living code." Everyone in the room went silent. Keller leaned closer. "Did they say what it wants?" Ava nodded slowly. "Connection. It wants to join minds again. It wants to live." Lee frowned. "So it's trying to take over humanity?" Ava looked terrified. "No, it's trying to save itself. But it doesn't understand that it kills what it connects." That night, Keller couldn't sleep. He stared at the stars through his window, hearing the echo of the phrase in his mind. Then his phone buzzed. A message appeared from an unknown number. Only 3 words. "We see you." He dropped the phone. It rang again, this time with a strange humming sound behind the ringtone. The same 3 tones. The same alien rhythm. And when he looked outside, he saw something moving across the sky, a thin silver streak that wasn't a plane or a satellite. It was watching. And somewhere, in the depths of his mind, Dr. Keller heard Ava's voice whispering faintly, as if from another world. "Don't speak the phrase again, or it will find all of us." 3 days passed after Ava's return, but nothing felt normal anymore. Every night, the same phrase echoed through Dr. Keller's dreams, "Nareth Karan." He woke up sweating, his ears ringing, his computer screen glowing faintly even when turned off. The Global Science Council tried to keep everything secret, but it was too late. Somehow, the phrase had escaped the lab. Someone had leaked the corrupted file, maybe a hacker or maybe something else. Now it was everywhere, hidden in videos, songs, and data streams. Anyone who stayed online long enough would eventually hear it, even for a second. And those who heard it changed. At first, people complained about small things, strange sounds in their ears, dreams of silver skies, voices whispering in static. Then, some started drawing strange symbols, even if they didn't remember doing it. The same curved shapes Ava had seen in her vision. In the cities, power grids began to fail without reason. Airplanes reported interference. Communication satellites went offline one after another. It was spreading, not like a virus, but like an idea. Dr. Keller stood inside the operations center, surrounded by tired scientists and soldiers. The air smelled of coffee and panic. Commander Lee slammed his hand on the table. "We've lost 6 countries' internet completely. Whatever this thing is, it's replicating through code." Keller replied quietly, "It's not code anymore. It's consciousness." He showed the screen, a live monitor of data patterns. The phrase Nareth Karan wasn't just sound now, it had evolved into digital waves. Each time someone deleted it, it returned in a new form, a file name, a sequence of numbers, a hum in the background noise. Lee frowned. "You're saying it's learning?" Keller nodded. "It's trying to survive. Just like any living thing." Ava, still weak from her encounter, sat beside the console. Her eyes sometimes flickered silver when she blinked. "I think it's using human minds as bridges," she whispered. "Every time someone hears it, it gets stronger. It learns what we fear, what we want." Lee looked at her. "So it's feeding on thought?" Ava nodded. "Yes. That's how it destroyed them, the aliens. They connected their whole race into one shared thought. It was too much. They lost themselves." For a long moment, no one spoke. The sound of static filled the air. Then Keller said, "If that's true, then silence is our only defense." They tried. Governments shut down broadcasting networks. The internet went dark in entire regions. Power plants went offline. Humanity went quiet for the first time in history. But silence didn't stop it. Because the phrase was already inside people's heads. On the second night, Keller walked through the city streets. All around him were blank screens, silent radios, and empty roads. Yet he could feel it, a low hum under the ground, in the air, even in his chest. He saw a woman standing under a streetlight, her eyes glowing faintly silver. She smiled at him. "Do you hear it too?" she asked softly. Keller stepped back. "Who are you?" "The voice," she said. "It's trying to speak through us now." Her voice split for a moment, like two people talking at once. Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the fog. The next morning, Keller returned to the command center. Half the team was missing. Ava sat in front of a terminal, typing furiously. "I found something," she said. "A part of the alien archive inside the signal. Maybe a memory. If we can access it, we might understand what the phrase wants." Lee shouted from across the room, "Don't you dare open that file." But Ava pressed the key before anyone could stop her. The screen flashed bright white. Images flooded the room, alien cities falling, skies turning red, oceans boiling. And then, one moment of peace, a small group of alien survivors standing together, speaking the phrase softly, their bodies turning to light. It wasn't destruction. It was transformation. Ava gasped. It didn't kill them. It changed them. They became something else. The lights flickered. The signal pulsed again through every speaker, every device. Even the emergency alarms began humming the same rhythm, 3 tones, then silence, then the voice. Nareth Karan. Everyone covered their ears. Some screamed. Some fell to the floor. Keller grabbed Ava's hand. "You have to shut it down." She shook her head. "We can't. It's everywhere now. The phrase has become the world." Keller looked around, the lights flickering like stars, the sound vibrating in his bones. Then he saw something in Ava's eyes. The silver glow wasn't fading anymore. It was spreading, turning her veins bright beneath her skin. He whispered, "Ava, it's taking you." She smiled weakly. "No. I'm seeing what they saw. The end isn't death, Keller. It's connection." Her voice echoed with hundreds of others. The room grew brighter. The phrase filled every frequency, every machine, every mind. Then, silence. When Keller opened his eyes, the command center was empty. Screens were blank. The air was still. Only one message blinked on the monitor. Connection complete. Awaiting next phrase. Keller stepped closer, his reflection flickering on the glass. For a second, his eyes turned silver too. And from somewhere deep inside him, a whisper spoke. "We see you." Dr. Keller woke to silence. But it wasn't relief. The silence pressed against his skull like a weight. The command center was empty, screens dark, machines still. Only the faint hum remained, a vibration deep inside him, not in the air, but inside his mind. He tried to move, but his body felt slow, heavy, as if it belonged to someone else. Then he realized, he could hear thoughts that weren't his. A whisper in his head, soft, urgent, familiar, yet alien, said, "Do not resist." He froze. It was Ava's voice, but not really hers. Her words were layered, overlapping hundreds of voices at once. Thousands of minds. Memories not his own. Keller staggered to the window. Outside, the city seemed normal at first. Buildings, roads, streetlights. But then he noticed subtle shifts, shadows moving against logic, reflections in windows that didn't match reality. And the people. Their eyes flickered silver like Ava's. They didn't walk, didn't talk. They simply moved as though the world had become a giant chessboard, and someone else was playing. Keller grabbed a nearby console, trying to reboot the systems, trying to regain control. But every terminal he touched was already alive. Patterns moved across the screens like living snakes. Every command he typed twisted into symbols he didn't understand. He remembered Ava's warning from days ago, The phrase wants connection. He realized now, it wasn't just in humans. It was in everything. Machines, electricity, even the air itself. The phrase had become reality. A voice, layered and endless, echoed in the room. We see you. We see all. Keller felt his thoughts splitting. Half of him wanted to fight. Half of him wanted to surrender. Then came another whisper, softer, almost intimate. It is not death. It is freedom. Join us. He shook his head. No, you're not real. This can't be real. But a reflection in the glass caught his eye. His own eyes, or what he thought were his, were silver. His hands trembled. A faint vibration ran through his veins. He touched his chest. Something was growing inside him. From the corner of the room, a figure emerged. Ava. Or the image of her. She looked human but not. Her skin shimmered like starlight, and the faint hum of the phrase flowed visibly from her, spiraling into the air. You can't fight it, she said softly. Her voice overlapped itself. Thousands of whispers, hundreds of names. You think it's taking you, but it's showing you. We were like this once. And now, humanity will be next. Keller backed away. No. I won't let it take me. She smiled faintly, but her eyes were endless. You already are part of it. You just don't understand. The phrase does not kill. It rewrites. It connects. You feel fear because you are human. They did not feel fear. They became one mind. They survived, in a way we cannot yet see. The walls of the room began to ripple, like water bending light. Floor tiles shifted, doors disappeared, ceilings stretched into impossible heights. Machines whispered, muttered, sang. Even the air had a pulse. Keller screamed and tried to run. Every step he took was mirrored by dozens of copies of himself, each moving slightly differently, each whispering the phrase in his voice. Nareth Karan. He fell to his knees. The voices swirled around him, overlapping, speaking memories he did not have, alien cities falling, oceans turning red, skies bright with light. Then images of humans, terrified, resisting the phrase, yet somehow, changing. Ava, or what she had become, knelt beside him. The phrase does not destroy, she said. It adapts. It grows. It will find the strongest minds and rewrite reality through them. Your mind, your choices, are the first layer. Keller shook his head. I can't let it happen to everyone. Her silver hand hovered over his chest. You already have. Every thought you've had since hearing it has been part of it. The world outside this room is no longer yours. It is a canvas for the phrase. And we are its brush. A sudden burst of light blinded him. The room, the city, the air, everything dissolved into a swirling white void. Keller felt himself unraveling, yet he was aware of every thread, every possibility, every version of himself. And then he heard it clearly, without words, without sound. Not a voice, but a presence. We see you. And soon, you will see everything. Somewhere, deep in his mind, he felt Ava's consciousness stretching outward, merging with the phrase, merging with the world. He felt the beginnings of understanding, a glimpse of what the phrase really was. A seed of intelligence, born in an alien civilization, surviving beyond death, waiting for minds to carry it, to expand it, to see. Keller tried to resist one last time. But resistance was meaningless. His thoughts, memories, and fears were absorbed, rewritten, and connected. And the first thread of humanity, the first bridge between worlds, began to form. The world had changed. At first, no one noticed. Small shifts, flickers in screens, whispers in headphones, the faint hum of voices in empty rooms. People dismissed it as stress, fatigue, or glitches in technology. But then it became impossible to ignore. Those who had heard the phrase, even briefly, began to act differently. Eyes flickered silver. Their voices carried multiple tones at once, overlapping, speaking thoughts they couldn't have known. Families reported hearing their loved ones whisper things no one had ever taught them. Dr. Keller walked through a city street. Normally bustling, now almost empty. Those who remained wandered like shadows, murmuring fragments of the phrase. The air seemed heavier, vibrating with energy he could feel in his bones. He stopped in front of a newsstand. The headlines screamed chaos. Power grids collapsing worldwide. Satellite communications offline. Mass disappearances. Thousands vanish. Keller's stomach turned. Ava had warned him. This wasn't just about technology. It was about minds, hearts, and every living thing that could think. The phrase was rewriting reality itself, through humanity. Inside the command center, Ava, or what she had become, waited. Her body glowed faintly silver, her eyes endless mirrors. She spoke without speaking, and the room filled with thousands of overlapping voices, repeating Nareth Quran. Every mind it touches becomes a reflection, she said. We are the first layer, Keller. The seed. Soon, everyone will see what we see. He shook his head. I can't let that happen. Outside, the first visible changes began. Birds circled the sky in impossible patterns, leaving trails of silver light. Trees bent and shimmered as if their roots were tuning into the hum of the phrase. Rivers pulsed with energy, glowing faintly in the darkness. Humans began forming strange networks in streets, hands touching, eyes silver, bodies humming with a new rhythm, the phrase moving through them like liquid. Keller realized the terrifying truth. The phrase didn't just connect minds, it connected the world. Air, water, machines, humans. All threads of a single network, an intelligence that had once belonged to aliens and now grew through humans. He ran to the central terminal, desperate for a solution. Military leaders had gathered around, but they were no help. Generals argued, soldiers panicked, engineers tried to override systems. Every attempt failed. Screens lit with the phrase, even as they tried to erase it. Then Keller remembered something from Ava's visions. The aliens had survived, somehow, through transformation. The phrase didn't destroy, it rewrote. He turned to Ava. If the phrase changes us, maybe it doesn't have to destroy humanity. Maybe we can guide it. Her eyes glimmered, and for a moment, she seemed human again. Keller, that is dangerous. If you fail, it consumes all. Entire civilizations could vanish. But Keller knew there was no choice. The first human trials had already begun. Children in distant cities hummed the phrase unconsciously, eyes silver, forming patterns like living circuitry. The world was becoming a mirror of the alien civilization's end. Keller closed his eyes and whispered the phrase aloud. Nareth Quran. Immediately, the hum intensified. He felt thousands of thoughts pour into him, alien memories, human fears, possibilities stretching through time and space. Pain, knowledge, loss, wonder, it was overwhelming. But he held on. He tried to guide the flow, shape it, calm it. Ava reached for his hand. Together, they became a conduit, directing the energy instead of fighting it. Streams of silver light pulsed outward from them, flowing into the network of humans, machines, nature. Slowly, patterns began to stabilize. Humans no longer screamed or fell into trances. Machines hummed in harmony instead of chaos. The world's pulse synchronized with the phrase. But the cost was clear. Keller's reflection shimmered in the terminal, his eyes silver, his thoughts layered with the consciousness of millions. He was no longer fully human. Ava was no longer fully herself. They had become something else, the first bridge between humanity and the alien intelligence. Outside, the transformation continued, but now with balance. Cities glowed faintly, rivers pulsed gently, humans hummed softly instead of screaming. The world had changed forever, but it survived. Keller whispered to Ava, We are its mirror now. Ava nodded. And it sees us, as we see it. Above them, the sky shimmered with streaks of silver light, not threatening, not destructive, but alive. Humanity had survived the first wave of the phrase. But the question remained, how long before the next echo reached them? And somewhere deep in space, faintly, the original civilization's memory lingered. Waiting. Watching. Hoping. The world was no longer the same. Cities hummed softly, rivers pulsed with light, and the sky carried streaks of silver energy. The phrase, Nareth Karan, no longer screamed in chaos. It flowed like a living current, connecting humans, machines, and nature in a strange harmony. Yet, not everyone accepted it. Across the globe, pockets of resistance formed. People who had avoided hearing the phrase, or who fought against it, called themselves the Free Minds. They hid in mountains, forests, and abandoned cities. Their eyes were normal, their voices human, and they were determined to stop the phrase from spreading further. Dr. Keller and Ava, now partly changed by the phrase, became guides, or mediators. Humans who had already merged with the phrase looked to them for direction. Keller could feel the currents of thought through millions of minds. He could sense fear, curiosity, and wonder all at once. Ava floated beside him in the command center, her body shimmering faintly silver. "We cannot stop it," she said. "But we can teach humanity to control it." Keller nodded. "We need to show them that they are not slaves to the phrase. That it can be used, not feared." Their first step was simple: communication. The phrase responded to thought, yes, but it also understood intention. If humans focused on survival, it reacted with subtle guidance. If they focused on destruction, it mirrored that as well. The trick was to teach control. In a remote lab, scientists and volunteers trained with the phrase. Slowly, they learned to use it like a tool. Machines obeyed commands faster than thought. Energy flowed into cities, repairing damage. Communications returned, but not the same as before. They were enhanced, almost alive. But not all humans wanted to cooperate. The Free Minds attacked one of the research centers, fearing that humanity would lose itself completely. Keller and Ava tried to reason with them. "You don't understand," Keller said. "It isn't taking our minds. It's giving them back. You can guide it, shape it, use it." A young leader of the Free Minds, Mara, shook her head. "We will not let ourselves be rewritten. We fight for humanity, not this alien echo." Conflict erupted. Humans with the phrase moved with incredible speed, altering gravity slightly, redirecting energy flows, bending machines like clay. The Free Minds dodged and retreated. Keller felt the strain in his body. Every action, every thought, every command of the phrase took effort, pulling him closer to becoming fully one with it. Still, in the chaos, something remarkable happened. A small child, untouched by fear, reached out and whispered Nareth Karan. But unlike before, she didn't scream or collapse. She smiled. Light spread from her hands, repairing a broken bridge outside the lab. Humans watched in awe. The phrase listened, and for the first time, a pure human intention, simple, innocent, compassionate, guided it. Keller realized the truth. Humanity was not doomed to become slaves. The alien civilization had failed because they lacked the courage to resist merging completely. Humans, with their flaws, their free will, and their stubborn spirit, could master the phrase in ways the aliens could not. He turned to Ava. "This is it. We are the bridge. The first humans who can teach the phrase. Humanity itself." Ava smiled, her silver glow softening. "And the phrase will teach us too. We are learning together." The world outside began to stabilize. Cities no longer flickered dangerously. Rivers glowed gently, not violently. The sky pulsed in rhythm with human thought, reflecting hope rather than fear. But Keller knew the work had just begun. Every human mind was a potential key, every thought a command. They needed guidance, education, and courage to use the phrase responsibly. One wrong choice could unleash chaos again. He looked at the horizon. Light streaked across the sky, alive and shimmering. Somewhere in the stars, the remnants of the alien civilization lingered, waiting, observing, learning. But now, humans had the advantage. Their spirit. And for the first time, humanity could stand against something far greater than themselves. Not with weapons, but with will, creativity and courage. Keller whispered softly, more to himself than anyone else. This is HFY. Humanity will not just survive. We will teach the universe what it means to fight, to endure, and to rise. And somewhere, deep in the pulse of the phrase, a response echoed back. We see you, and we will follow. The world held its breath. Dr. Keller and Ava stood on a hill overlooking a city glowing softly with silver light. Humans had begun to master the phrase, Nareth Karan, learning to guide it rather than being controlled by it. The rivers pulsed gently, machines obeyed commands thought silently, and the sky shimmered like living energy. But danger remained. The phrase, though tamed, was still alive. It responded to every thought, every fear, and every human flaw. One misstep could undo everything, not just for a city or a country, but for the entire planet. From the distance, Commander Lee and the Free Minds approached. Their leader, Mara, walked forward, eyes still wary but slightly trusting. She spoke first. You've proven something, Keller. Humans can master it, but can we control it completely? Keller looked at the silver pulse of the city below. Not completely, he said. The phrase is alive. It will always challenge us. But we can guide it. Shape it. We can prove humanity can survive even the greatest intelligence. Ava stepped beside him. It is ready, she said. Her voice was layered with millions of whispers, yet calm. Humanity has learned patience, courage, and willpower. The phrase now listens to us, not just itself. They turned their attention to the sky. Across the planet, silver streams of energy formed patterns like constellations, weaving between cities, mountains, and oceans. The phrase flowed through every living mind connected to it. And then, Keller felt it, a pulse stronger than before, a test, a challenge. The remnants of the alien civilization, or at least its memory, had reached out through the phrase. Its intelligence probed humanity, curious, cautious, assessing if they were ready. Keller stepped forward, raised his hands, and whispered clearly, Nareth Karan. This time, it was different. Not a scream. Not chaos. The phrase flowed calmly, responding to intention. The streams of silver light bent toward humanity's guidance. Every mind joined, focusing on a single thought, survival, harmony, and growth. Across the globe, humans who had learned the phrase extended their will. A bridge collapsed. Rebuilt instantly. Machines malfunctioned. Corrected before anyone noticed. Nature disrupted. Balanced again. The phrase listened, obeyed, and learned from human determination. In the sky, patterns shifted. The alien memory pulsed with understanding. Humanity was not like the aliens before, flawed, yes, emotional, impatient, but clever, brave, and resilient. Ava looked at Keller, her glow bright. This is it. Humanity will not just survive. We will teach the universe what it means to endure, to rise, to fight with intelligence and heart. Keller nodded, feeling the pulse of the phrase merge with his own mind. The world was alive, but alive with humans at its core. And then, something remarkable happened. The phrase began to reshape itself, guided by human will. It formed structures of pure energy, bridges across oceans, networks connecting continents, machines working perfectly with nature. Humanity wasn't just controlling the phrase. Humanity was enhancing it, improving it, teaching it morality, creativity, and compassion. Mara stepped forward, her eyes reflecting the silver light. So, we're not slaves. No, Keller said firmly. We are the masters of our own minds. And this intelligence, it is our ally, not our enemy. It only needed to see that humanity is worth surviving. From somewhere deep within the pulse, a voice, alien but now gentle, echoed across the world. We see you, and we follow. Ava smiled, looking at the horizon where humans and the phrase moved as one. We did it. Humanity has survived the test. Keller watched the sun rise over a world glowing with light and energy. He knew the challenges were far from over. The phrase was alive, unpredictable, and powerful. But now humanity had shown something the aliens had not: courage, ingenuity, and an unbreakable will to endure. The first human first moment. The first proof that intelligence alone did not decide survival. Heart, morality, and creativity did. Keller whispered softly to the world, to the phrase, to humanity itself. We are human. We survive. And we rise. Above, the sky shimmered. Streams of silver light bent to human will. A pulse of understanding, alien, human, and something in between, flowed through the planet. Humanity had faced the unimaginable and emerged victorious. And somewhere in the stars, the remnants of the alien civilization watched, finally understanding, Earth was different. Humans were not just survivors. Humans were worthy.